Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at the CHE Performance shock tower brace for 79 to 04 Mustangs. Going to go through it, install it, and at the end I'll give you an update and let you know what I think. So I should add a disclaimer. I'm not saying this is the right way to install it. I'm saying this is the way that I installed it. So definitely follow the directions and yeah, follow the directions. Thanks. So I decided that it was time to pick up a rear shock tower brace for the Mustang. Since I'm running coilovers on this car, you know, all the weight's going into the shock towers and they were never designed to have the load of the car on them. So shock tower brace seemed like a good idea, so I'm going to do an unboxing. I picked up a CHE Performance shock tower brace, so we're going to unbox it and take a look at it. And then after that we'll go through the install and see what that looks like. Bag of hardware, looks like instructions. Got their logo on it. Paper, the bill, paid. So it looks pretty good. If you can see those welds, they look pretty good. Got a nice looking finish on it. So this was one of the, I'm not sure which side this is, but this will go on top of one of the shock towers, so the shock will come up through there. This will be bolted down to the floor of the car. So probably 3 bolts. And it's got 2 bolts, one on either side, that'll actually bolt into the shock tower. That seems like a pretty solid amount that way. So should be the other side. Yep, so mirror image. You can see that. It looks good. So this is the crossbar that'll go in the middle between the two clevises, if you can see that in there. One for either end. Yeah, it looks like one's a left hand and the right. The other's a right hand thread, so you can tighten them up in place without having to take it apart. So you can get a good solid connection in there. Yeah, looks good. So next we'll fit it up in the car, see what it looks like, mark some holes, go from there. So step 1 is to, let's see, remove interior trim. Step 2, unbolt shocks. This car is way past that, so we've moved on to step 3. Step 3 is to place the brace over the shock stud, which we don't have a shock installed, so I don't know how you would do that. Trace the lower flange onto the sound deadener. And 94 to 04 cars don't have the sound deadener, so we can skip that step as well. Next is to remove the body sealer plug, or body sealer that is plugging a weld nut located on the frame. So I'm looking, and it would be, you can't see where I'm pointing, would be there. It doesn't tell you how to go about removing it, so this could be entertaining. So this will probably be a time lapse of me fighting with seam sealer. Just kind of awkward to get in this car with a cage in it and all that. Luckily I got one of the seats out. I could have done it from the trunk side as well, but I'd be in front of the camera, so, or blocking the camera. I do want to run a tap through them just to clean them up. Just a little bit of oil. And they're an M8. And the bar did supply the bolts to go in there. And of course my tap is slipping. But that got it started, so y'all don't have to watch that. Anyway, just run a tap through, make sure the threads are good and clean, and then we'll pick up from there. So I also found in the directions that the whatever you call these braces are actually marked. Looks like they've laser cut a P for passenger side there, and a D for driver's side. That's pretty cool. Alright, so you missed the end of that because my phone battery went dead and we switched over to GoPro. Yeah, so shock is loosely in there, just enough to keep things lined up. I've got one bolt loosely in there. So what I'm going to do next is do the same thing on this side. So both brackets are in there, and then I'm going to put the cross brace in there to hold everything together. Pick up from there. Fitting here, so I'm going to have to go through and do some cleanup, get rid of the seam sealer before I can get everything set up on this side. Just wanted to give you that update. So on your cars you might have the same problem on both sides or neither side, or I don't know, everybody's car will be different. So I'm going to clean that up and then I'll okay, I've got the hardware on here loosely. One bolt there, and the shocks are on loose as well, just to keep them from moving around. The instructions say to thread the clevises in all the way so you can get the spacing right. As usual, the off-color nut is the left-hand thread, and the side of the bar that has the hex on it is also the left-hand thread. So I've got those lined up. What else do you need to know? So now, hopefully we can slide this in and that in. Alright, so if we can... Alright, that'll work. So let's get one of these and just put it in here loosely. pretty good. Got it pretty tight. Is drilling a 5/16, double checking, 5/16 hole. One there, matching on the other side, and one on that side. So, let me get a drill and a couple of drill bits, and I might do the ones on the front from the inside of the car. Alright guys, final thoughts on this install. It's a well-engineered piece. I think it looks pretty good in the car. It's definitely solid. I like that the mounts bolt to the floor and to the shock tower. It seems like it's really going to provide good support that way. I really wanted to not like the self-tapping bolts. They're a little challenging to get started and threaded in there. I couldn't get them to start by hand. I had to break down and use the drill driver to actually get them in there started. In the end, I did torque them with a torque wrench once everything was threaded good. But I think they actually hold pretty well. It's pretty solid metal there. You're going through multiple layers of metal, particularly in the upper part of the mount. So they seem to hold the torque just fine. It would honestly be pretty hard to get a nut in some of those. For this car, it's got an independent rear suspension, and these, particularly the back lower bolt on the mount, it would be pretty hard to get a nut in there. The back mount for the independent rear suspension is in the same place. It would be pretty tight if you didn't have the self-threaded. So all in all, I'm pretty happy. I think it looks good. Once we get the car back together, we'll, I doubt I will honestly notice any difference, but it's peace of mind. I think having coilovers, it's just a good insurance plan to have that in there. I think welding it in would also be a solid option to consider, but I think these bolts will hold well. All right, that's it. Thanks guys. Please subscribe to the channel if you like this content, and I'll try to keep it coming. Thanks.